Welcome back to JB Reviews. I have a 2024 GMC Sierra 2500 and 2023 Ram 2500, and we're going to see which truck gets the best fuel economy and has the best acceleration. Now, both trucks are equipped with diesel options. GMC has the Duramax and Ram has the Cummins. Let's drive the Duramax first and let's see how it does against the Ram. Which one you guys think gonna win? In the comment section. Answer now. Don't wait till the end. Let's go. Before we start, special shout out to Larry H. Miller, Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram here in Sandy, Utah. I know it says Riverdale, but it's really Sandy. And Jerry Seiner, Buick GMC here in South Jordan, Utah. They did allow me to do this test. Be sure to check out their inventory. Both of these trucks are available for sale. One thing I have to make you guys aware of is this is gonna be a long bed truck, and that Ram is gonna be a mega cab. I did that on purpose because the weight should be about the same, and you guys will see that pretty much in this video here. So I'm gonna go ahead and reset trip one. Let me go ahead and get my draggy ready to go so we can kind of get an idea of the acceleration. So as you guys probably know, there were some updates made to the Duramax. However, for 2023, Ram just added new mirrors. For 2023, this 2024 GMC did get a nice power increase. So the Duramax now has 470 horsepower, 975 pound-feet of torque, and all that power goes through this 10-speed Allison. 342 gears out back. Let's see how this truck performs with 0 to 60. Here we go.
$30, $60,
I believe that this is my first GMC I've driven, and as you guys just saw, there was like a long turbo delay. I've never felt that before in my Chevy diesel dually or in any of the Chevy trucks that I've tested. So that was pretty long. I was like almost like at 17 miles an hour before the truck actually went. So that was pretty strange actually. I don't know why it did that. So that was wide open throttle, and yeah, I don't know. That kind of stinks because I was hoping it would kind of get close to that 7-second range, like 7.9, 8.1 in that ballpark. But yeah, that might be really easy for the Ram to beat, or not beat, but probably get pretty close to. So we'll see. But despite that, the Duramax L5P Gen 2 does have great low-end torque. There could be, you know, something that they added midway through to kind of protect the drivetrain for the first, you know, 500 miles or so. So that's a possibility because I've never felt that before. Every Chevy I've driven so far does not have that much lag. It normally takes off around like 5 miles an hour. But you know what we got to do now, right? We got to test out this exhaust brake. Here we go. Nothing's really happening. Nothing's really happening. Okay, I see a little bit of a downshift from the transmission, but it's pretty weak though. I know a lot of people are going to chime in and say you have to be hooked up to a trailer, you have to put it in cruise control, all that good stuff. But yeah, let's see what the Ram does. I'm really interested to see how loud this truck is compared to the Ram. About 64, 65. $66, $67 by the window. $63, $64 out back, which is pretty good. Anything below 63 is quiet out back. The window, anything below 66 is pretty good. And up here, I've seen like 61 to 63. But we should be to the midpoint in about 3 minutes or so, and then we'll go back the opposite direction. And I'll show you guys where we are for fuel economy. And just like that, we are at the midpoint. So it's exit 3. We'll do the same thing for the Ram. And here's where we are so far. 6.4 miles driven, and 11.9 MPG so far, and that's averaging about 40 miles an hour. This trip is about 11 minutes so far. I do like that they give you the drive summary. That is very, very helpful. So the light is red, unfortunately. Normally I try to go through this without stopping, but we didn't have that luxury today. So here are the numbers for the GMC. This does have a max trailering package, so you do get an increased GVWR, but check out that gross ax weight rating in the rear, 7250. Payload, insanity, 3,534 pounds. Big toe numbers. This is where Ram is gonna really have to step their game up here. One thing that GM wins on 100% is price point. I'll show you guys the window stickers on these trucks, but this is a very, very well-priced truck. And apart from that, I think for the amount of features that you get, like the ventilated seats work really good. This is an SLT model. It does have the center console, telescoping steering wheel, and you have the gauge cluster, which comes standard. So it's really hard to justify the cost of the Ram. I mean, the only thing I will say that the Ram really has this truck beat on in this trim level is just the exhaust brake. And I think that their 12-inch screen is a little bit more user-friendly for me. Like, I'm still kind of getting through this screen a little bit more so, but I do like Rams a little bit better, despite this being a huge like step forward ahead. Now I do like the split screen, how you can have your tire pressure monitoring. I've said it a million times, and that is something that I do like. But apart from that, this is the best value for the money. The 10-speed also is really hard to beat because the steps are so short. You just have power in every single gear. So I think we're probably just running in about probably 10th gear right now as we accelerate. But you can see at 70 miles an hour, we're probably around like 1,500 RPMs. You don't really notice the size of this truck either, by the way. It rides so good. And it has the Michelin tires. It's just a really well-rounded pickup. So up to about 80 miles an hour. Just under, it's like about 1,800 RPMs in that ballpark, 18, 19. Probably closer to 18. That's just really good. But we're about to be back here, and I'll show you guys where we end off at for fuel economy. We're pulling in right now, and I figured we could just park next to these Chrysler Pacificas right here, and this is where we'll stop. So 14.4 MPG, 13.8 miles driven. Let's use this one. So 13.7 miles driven, 14.7 MPG, and 43 miles an hour is what we were averaging for speed. So let's go ahead and get that Ram and see how it can do. We are in the Ram. I'm gonna go ahead and reset trip 1. And we're gonna go ahead and get down the road. Actually, they call it trip A. But I can instantly tell the size difference of the cabs up front. But if I were to get a Ram, it'd be this truck, mega cab, 100%. I do like these seats. These seats are bigger. Like, I can instantly tell the size difference of the seats. And I would say I like, oh yeah, these seats are just more plush. And I feel like they support better up here. Like up in this area, I can clearly tell a difference. I've been driving GM trucks for so long now. Not so long, I've been driving them a lot, I just say. That like, I actually can tell a huge difference in these seats. I think GM needs to step up their game with their seats, 100%. But let's go ahead and talk about this Cummins, and then you guys will see the 0-60. Despite the Cummins still being one of the best diesel options in this segment, I think that they're way behind the 8-ball right now. 370 horsepower, 850 pound-feet of torque. I mean, that is just so far behind, it's a little embarrassing. 68 RP transmission, it shifts very smoothly, pretty confident. They did do some updates back in 2019. I had a 2018 that towed beautifully. 373 gears out back. You guys ready? Here we go. despite the delay in the Duramax, it still beat this truck. So yeah, that horsepower, it's 100 more horsepower. I didn't think about that just now. 370 versus 470. Maybe GM did that on purpose. That's funny. So the GM has 100 more horsepower. But like I said, I've never felt that kind of delay. I love the way this truck performs. This is an amazing piece of equipment. Like the Cummins and 68 RFE, I don't care what anyone says. If you haven't owned the truck, just shut up about it. I owned it, and this truck performs so good. Like, I love the power, and when you put it under load, it sounds totally different. That's what I love about the Ram Cummins trucks. They just sound so good when you put a trailer behind them. Now let's check out this exhaust brake real quickly. No excuses. You see that? You can hear it, you can feel it. I mean, it's just really good. And I'm not doing anything. All I did was just turn it on, and it just does the rest for you. And that's where I think Ram is just really hard to beat. Because if you really tow a lot, like a lot, like you are always hooking up to a trailer every single day. This is a hard truck, guys, to beat. Despite the price point, it is really hard. I think that's why Ram is doing what they're doing. They know what they're doing because they know they have a good piece of equipment. The problem for me is I just didn't want to buy the same truck again. I just got tired of, I'll be honest with you guys, I don't normally keep cars more than 3 years. Even before YouTube, I was actually kind of worse before YouTube actually, but nevertheless, I never bought trucks because I could never afford them. But I get bored really fast, so that's my problem. And with this truck, it's really good, but they got a lot of improvements to do. Actually, I'm sorry, hold on. The GM is a little bit quieter right there. $69.70. Hold on, let me just put these vents down, hold on. Yeah, $69.70. $66, $65 out back. So this is definitely louder compared to the GMC. And hold on. Let me just turn down the fan a little bit. Yeah, this truck's louder. This truck has the Firestone tires, which, no disrespect, Firestone. There's better options out there. Just saying. Midpoint is right here. I never turn off the exhaust brake too. And it's just flexing again. 14.3, 14.4. I think we're doing a little bit better for fuel economy. And actually, you know what? We're going through this light here. So, yeah. That kind of stinks. So this is gonna get a little bit better just because of that too. But we're not back yet though. So here's the issue that's been plaguing Ram for a long time. 10,000 pound gross vehicle weight rating. It gets worse. Because that number is so low, you have a 2,046 pound payload because this truck weighs nearly 8,000 pounds. So it gets worse too. You saw that the GMC had a, what was it? 7,250 pound rear gross axle weight rating. Now it does have a max trailing package, so to be fair, but 6,040 pounds. Ram doesn't offer anything to compete with that right now. Like I said earlier, it's really hard to beat this truck. I think Ram knows that. Even though Ford has better numbers, GM has better numbers, they have the 10-speed transmissions. They don't have a Cummins. And inline 6 diesels are just so good. I don't care what anyone says, like unless you've owned them all. I've owned, GMs now. I've owned the Rams. The only ones I haven't really owned was Ford, but I've had Ford for a couple weeks before. And I love the V8, don't get me wrong. The V8s are fast, especially in the Ford. But there's something about this engine that just makes it so good. It's just the power delivery. When you tow with one, it really does put a smile on your face. Like I recall, like a lot of times, every time I would hook up, I'd be excited. And the new Duramax, it does have that low-end grunt that you hear with this, but it still doesn't compare. It doesn't compare. Well, we're about to get back on the highway. I'm gonna show you guys some of the RPMs here and we'll pretty much be back. But real quickly, no digital gauge cluster as you guys have seen so far. And this one did have a bench seat up front, which I'm actually okay with. I like this bench seat. My wife can sit next to me, I do like it. But there is obviously a console you can get here. The seats are definitely a lot more comfortable. Heated and ventilated seats, just like the SLT model. Price point's the only thing that's gonna hurt this truck. So really quickly, we did stop at this light. I went right through this light with the GMC, by the way. So this is pretty apples to apples, I would say, at this point. But let me go ahead and show you guys some of the RPMs here. I do like the fact that Ram allows you to see what gear you're in. So even as I accelerate here, I'm probably about 30% down. The traffic is pretty heavy though, unfortunately. There's a 373 out back, by the way. So 80 miles an hour is about the same as the GM. It's probably more like at 1900 RPMs, just under 2000. That's not bad. Not bad at all. This is a little scary, guys. It's a little scary. I'm actually shocked by the fuel economy. You ready for this? Here we are. 16.5 MPG, 13.5 miles driven, 19 minutes. Wow. I'm impressed. GM won the performance side of the house. Ram won the MPG. Now, I am actually surprised by the fuel economy because it is really hot outside and heat is pretty good for diesels. I mean, of course they have really good cooling systems on these trucks, but with that being said, in the wintertime, diesels don't do that great for fuel economy. So we'll have to retest these trucks in the wintertime at some point. But I gotta admit to you guys, the GMC, if I was looking for a 3/4 ton, would be the one I would go with, especially with that max trailering package. It's basically an overbuilt 2500. Ram does not offer anything like that. And despite the fuel economy, I'm okay to take the hit if I can get a better built, well, I'm not saying it's better built, but a more built truck for doing heavy lifting. So Ram has a lot of work to do, and hopefully it does not come at a huge price increase. So we'll see how everything shakes out. But special shout out to Larry H. Miller, Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram here in Sandy, Utah, and Jerry Seiner, Buick GMC in South Jordan. They did allow me to do this test. Be sure to check out the inventory. See you guys soon.